Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News Refresh on Arizona PBS. I'm Caitlin Keenahan. Thank you for joining us. About 750,000 more Arizonans became eligible for COVID-19 vaccine registration today. As of 9 this morning, the Arizona Department of Health Services opened registration at state sites to those 65 and older. It's important to note that some county sites may not be vaccinating that group quite yet, depending on the number of shots that they have available. Before today, older Arizonans were only eligible if they were at least 75 years old or working in a qualifying profession. DHS says 85% of those Arizona's deaths come from COVID-19 have been among those 65 and older. More than half of those hospitalized due to COVID-19 are in that age group. The department also opened appointment registration for its second state distribution site at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. Shots will be given at that location beginning next month. More than 281,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in the state, according to DHS. But even as more Arizonans gain access to shots, coronavirus numbers remain grim here. 6,417 new coronavirus cases were added to the state's dashboard this morning, and the state has seen more than 11,200 deaths since the pandemic began. ICU bed capacity is at 92%. As the pandemic drags on, many Arizonans are still in need of a helping hand. St. Mary's Food Bank is expanding the types of food it will accept to help those in need. Spokesman Jerry Brown says they're now accepting backyard fruit donations at both the Phoenix and Surprise locations. So if this year has been a good one for your grapefruit, orange, or lemon trees, then you can donate them until the beginning of March. And on a little bit of a lighter note, the Arizona Science Center is touting a new addition to its facility. An astronaut exhibition will be on display there from February 6th to May 31st. Visitors will be able to experience the physical and mental challenges involved in space exploration and get a taste of what life is like outside of Earth and its atmosphere. It's a hands-on experience, but the Science Center says it's following expert protocols for COVID-19. Leadership actively monitors and changes its policies to ensure the health and safety of guests and team members. Hopefully, the state's COVID numbers will look better by May. Here's what's trending today. As we mentioned earlier, more appointments for the COVID-19 vaccine are now available for signups on azdhs.gov. This comes at a crucial time. Across Arizona, there has been a growing level of uncertainty over whether enough vaccines will be available. The Arizona Department of Health Services receives thousands of questions via Facebook and Twitter every day. Here are some of the most common concerns. The first one comes from a woman who says that she was vaccinated on January 12th, but she hasn't received a follow-up email. She's wondering if she should be patient or if there's a chance that she's not going to get the email. The answer is yes. It should take 10 days to get that email that allows you to set up the appointment. But it's medically recommended to wait at least a month between the two doses anyways. So it doesn't hurt if the email comes a few days later than expected. Second dose appointments are reserved and guaranteed, according to DHS. So patience is key, especially when hundreds of thousands of people are all trying to do that same thing at the same time. Another question is from Sandra G, and she asks, for those of us who are primary caregivers between the ages of 55 and 64 for elderly parents, when will the vaccine be available? Well, Phase 1B covers essential workers and people at high risk of severe COVID-19 illness. You may be able to get the vaccination if you can show proof of being a caretaker. However, if not, you will likely be at the top of Phase 2. Now, away from the questions, there was also talk on Twitter about the delays on the AZDHS website this morning. View Him says, I was online for way over an hour with nothing even in August, and every time I refreshed, I had to start over. So that doesn't work. Now, this isn't an isolated case. Several people experienced this trouble with the website, but some people did have a little bit of an easier time. This woman named Mindy says, after refreshing constantly for 30 minutes, I finally got an appointment on February 2nd. So if you don't have access to the internet or you need additional assistance signing up for an appointment, you can call AZDHS at 844-542-8201 for more help. Washington is preparing for a scaled-down inauguration tomorrow, and Brandon Chatterton posted this photo of what that's going to look like with really no audience and attendance, and instead 200,000 flags spread across National Mall, representing people from around the world who would gather for the inauguration of President Biden and VP Harris. He captured these pictures to show the vastness of this display. Now, people in the comments recognize that if you double the flags, it's the amount of people that died from COVID-19 in 2020. Now, bringing it a little bit closer to home, another thing that we are preparing for Inauguration Day is potential violence around the White House and around state capitals. At the Arizona State Capitol, it's being guarded in case of potential unrest. Protective fences have been set up around the perimeter of the building. You can see the barbed wire here on photos taken by AZ Family. You might think the coronavirus would have halted the trend of traveling across the valley on rental scooters and bikes. But one company has seen a spike in customer interest. Nicole Long tells us which company is seeing the profits roll in.
Fat Scooters, unlike other companies, custom tailors and sells their scooters for customers to own. Chief Operating Officer Rick Johnson founded the company with a son back in 2017 and has since expanded to selling scooters around the world.
We had a couple little roll-up storage units on the west side of Phoenix that we first operated in for 2 months, just to kind of see if the business was going to be real, if it was going to make an impression and have any legs. And so we shipped 22 scooters the first day.
Since then, Johnson and his growing team have sparked relations with dozens of companies, athletes, and annual events across the country, despite the challenges coronavirus has thrown his way. One collaborator is KNIX's on-air personality, Barrel Boy.
She was super creative, came up with ideas. I sent her over some artwork. She sent me back multiple proofs. We dialed in exactly what we wanted, but I mean, they were extremely creative and detail-oriented, provided everything that I would need to make a choice that I liked. They were super patient.
Johnson states that he expects the company to continue growing within the next year.
We have steadily grown the business. This year, it's been more than steady. We've more than tripled the business this year compared to last year. And so we're expecting to at least double, maybe triple again next year. We have so many opportunities, and it's just hard to keep up right now, quite frankly.
Nicole Long, Cronkite News.
Fat Scooters has shipped their products to the Caribbean, Canada, and Mexico. Coming up on Cronkite News, with nationwide attention on the court, the ASU men's basketball team has gained an increasing amount of recognition online as well. We'll take a look at how Sun Devils social media is stepping into the spotlight. And on Break It Down, how political correctness showcases our evolving society.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
While some schools in Arizona are holding in-person classes during the pandemic, those on the Navajo Nation have stayed virtual. That's created some big challenges on the reservation. Cronkite News reporter Megan Marples visited one Navajo district to see how students' needs are being met.
Twitter, YouTube, and Netflix, all apps we use without a second thought. But most households on the Navajo Nation have no internet access or have iffy connections. To solve this, one school district came up with an innovative idea to help students get online and keep learning virtually. A couple of months ago, Pinyon Unified School District took action to help its 1,000 students stay connected during COVID. All 14 of their school buses are now equipped with Wi-Fi. The fleet goes to different locations across the reservation so students can upload assignments.
It kind of provides a stable internet connection to where it's faster and more reliable than you would have satellite internet.
Chenoa Begay and her 3 sisters frequently use the Wi-Fi buses. Her home has satellite internet, but it sometimes takes hours to upload one page. With the bus, it's mere seconds.
They're used to being in school in class with classmates. And sometimes our internet will go down and they're stuck without going to school for a day or so.
It is here in this dirt lot, 20 miles away from the high school itself, where Wi-Fi buses pull up 3 or 4 times a week. Without these buses, many Navajo children would have no way to connect to the internet or with their teachers. School would simply fall by the wayside. The Wi-Fi buses also occasionally deliver school lunches to students' homes. Some days, parents can pick up meals at the school as well. It might be busy outside, but inside, the hallways remain especially quiet. Since the pandemic hit in March, 2 people who worked in the school district have died from COVID-19.
They brighten the kids' days right when they walk into the school. The kids, the parents, the staff, they just lit up the room.
While the pandemic has hit this school hard, some teachers are optimistic about the future. Robert Labarge records video lesson plans for his students almost every day from his classroom.
You're sitting in a room talking to yourself. It's really weird, right? And you feel like a YouTuber or something. And so you kind of have to imagine what your audience, there's no live feed or anything like that. So what's the audience going to expect, but what are they also, like, what kind of questions are they going to have?
We left off on number 19.
It's not all bad. And what I mean by that is that we have been forced into a kind of way to understand technology and to utilize things that we never thought we'd have to.
Only about a quarter of households on the Navajo Nation even have broadband internet. That's hampered not just schoolwork, but also access to telehealth during the pandemic. Navajo leaders hope to address that by dedicating some CARES Act funding to help residents get connected. In the studio, Megan Marples, Cronkite News.
The COVID-19 pandemic is changing the way we celebrate the holiday season. Cronkite News reporter Haley Bartow shows us what you need to know to keep you and your family safe this year.
COVID-19 has temporarily changed the way we go about our lives. With the holiday season quickly approaching, it is important to take certain precautions to keep you and your loved ones safe. Diana Rowland, the infection prevention manager at Tempe St. Luke's Hospital, explains how to prepare.
Arizona is experiencing increasing cases. The gathering is always an issue. We need to continue wearing our masks. We still need to continue social distancing. Here, the problem is the heat. It drives people inside. But as long as people can stay outdoors, the more they can stay outdoors, the less risk.
Typical holiday celebrations, like trick-or-treating, require new safety precautions.
To make trick-or-treating safer, avoid direct contact with the trick-or-treaters, give out treats outdoors if possible, set up a station, individually bagged treats for the children.
The typical holiday season involves lots of traveling, but according to Dr. Napunye Rajapaksa, the pediatric infectious disease specialist at Mayo Clinic, traveling has a high risk for exposure and transmission.
When it comes to travel, I think people need to be really, really thoughtful. We're used to showing our love for our loved ones by being with them, but this year may be a year where you demonstrate your love and caring by not traveling to see your loved ones, showing respect for everyone's health, especially if you have high-risk family members who would be at risk of severe illness if they were to get infected.
She also says, virtual gatherings are another way to stay connected, especially important for mental health during a stressful and what can be lonely holiday season for some.
We're hopeful that by this time next year, we'll be in a better position, hopefully with vaccine available and more people immune by vaccination. So I think people need to appreciate that these are hopefully temporary things that we're asking you to change.
Dr. Rajapaksa hopes that people will take these recommendations to heart so that next year we can get back to sharing the holiday spirit in person. Haley Bartow, Cronkite News.
With COVID-19 cases on the rise, it is important to follow CDC guidelines. No matter where the holidays take you, be smart and safe about your holiday travels.
Arizona State men's basketball has high expectations after a busy offseason with popular recruitment class and the return of Remy Martin. With the nationwide attention on the court, Sun Devil social media has gained an increasing amount of recognition as well. Cronkite News reporter Reed Harmon has more on the social media team.
So is it the big name players on ASU's roster? Or could it be the flair of head coach Bobby Hurley? Whatever it might be, it's been working for the Sun Devils social media team.
We see the numbers and everything, and it's great to see, but we don't feel any sort of pressure to reach for those kind of numbers. We're going to keep doing what we're going to do. And if the numbers are there, that's great. But I think if we focus on creating the best content possible, I think that's all we can do.
In all of men's college hoops, Arizona State ranks in the top 10 in the country when it comes to social interactions. Let's break it down and head over to the West Coast, where they ranked number 1 in social interactions for the month of September. With the addition of big-time players like 5-star recruit Josh Christopher, the numbers, even in the offseason, have climbed even higher.
I think if anything, that just kind of makes our jobs a little easier. I mean, with Josh, no matter what we post, we could post a picture of his elbow and everybody would love it. I'll be honest. So if anything, it makes it easier because like everybody's going to love what you do no matter what.
For the 3 major platforms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, ASU Hoops has gained its most traction through Instagram. In September, they had 82,000 of their 114,000 total interactions.
Young people are on Instagram. I know I use Instagram the most, and most of our recruits are there. And then the players use that the most. So the fact that that's what's most common of young people.
The Sun Devils are liked by many as a top 20 team in preseason projections. And if ASU is able to succeed on the court this season, that success will continue to be shared on their social media. Reed Harmon, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.